Hello, everyone. It's me, Andrew. Hopefully, you all are doing well out there. Happy Wednesday. It's Wednesday. You would think, with how many meetings and schedules I'm on, that I would actually know what day it is, but I kind of just like look at my phone and it's like, oh, you have a meeting. Hopefully, you all are doing well out there. We've been super, super busy lately. Oh, my. We've been. Um, I think we stayed up until about 3 or so at the store, at the brick and mortar, working on the back room, in the front room. Um, we put some glass shelf cabinets in the front room, and unfortunately, we can't find the shelves. So, at some point when it cools down, because it's super hot here in Ligonier, I'm gonna run into the garage and play seek and find, and hopefully I'll find the shelves so that we can actually put stuff in the cabinets. Because otherwise, it's kind of like they're just hanging out empty. Um, so yeah, so we've been super busy with that. We stayed up pretty late getting the back room kind of sorted out. It's We still have a lot to do. I'm not gonna lie. There's a lot to do. Normally, I would do like a grand reveal, but it's not reveal worthy just quite yet. So we're working on that. We did get a lot of work done, so I'm very pleased with our progress. We took, if you didn't see yesterday's live, we took Monday off so that we could work on the back room um, in the brick and mortar so that we could kind of expand our classroom space. Um, so far, we were only able to like accommodate however many people will fit around the one table, which sometimes it can be kind of a tight squeeze. So we're adding an extra table to the back so that more people can sit, and so that people can like spread out and they don't have to be, cheek to cheek. Um, so yeah. All right, let's see who's watching. I see a couple people have tuned in. William would be mad at me if I didn't remind people to like and share our video. Liking and sharing our videos helps boost the signal and get the word out about our small business and the things that we're doing. So please do, if it's in your heart, to like and share. All right. I see Harry's watching. Hi, Harry. Suzanne's watching. Hi, Suzanne. Um, Harry says it's 75 here with an air quality alert. Smoke and chemicals in the air. Oh no. Yeah, it's been super warm here, and I don't know if we're having the same kind of issues as you, Harry, but I definitely have had a headache all day today. And I was like, is it because I've been staying up really late? I mean, I don't sleep a lot generally, but even I've been sleeping in less. There's something on my screen, and I keep thinking it's on my shirt. So, anyway, um, so. Um, yeah, so it's kind of been a headachy day, but not as terrible as it could be. So what else we've got going on? I've been super busy. If you don't know about the Society of Inclusive Blacksmith, earlier this year I won a scholarship from them. So I attended Elizabeth Brim's class at the Center for Metal Arts, and the scholarship helped offset some of the costs for that. And so I've started to work a little bit more with them. They're a really wonderful organization that seeks to make blacksmithing and metalsmithing in general a more diverse place. And so I don't know how much I'm allowed to say and what I'm not allowed to say, because it's really early in its infancy. But I'm working with some other BIPOC people, Black, Indigenous people of color, to work on doing maybe a little conference for people of color. And it's pretty cool. I'm pretty excited about. So we've been doing the planning meetings for that and kind of fleshing out what that kind of event would look like. I'm really excited about that because, I feel like we're here in this space. We exist, but we don't always have the opportunity to connect with one another. So that's a really wonderful place, kind of a meeting point. Um, in a lot of different cultures and different uh, fields of industry. They have these great meetups where people come together and they share information and trade, and there's an exchange of ideas and resources. And I kind of feel like that is kind of something that I want to help restart. I mean, people are still doing these things, but you know, in a kind of a different, more inclusive way. So I'm super excited about that. We had the meeting last night, one of the meetings, and we'll continue to work on that. In other news, if you didn't see Jen's tutorial on Saturday, she made a really cool tutorial. So check that out on YouTube. If you are local, if you're here in the Ligonier area, this Saturday is Meet the Merchants. So check out that event on Facebook for more details. A bunch of merchants on West Main Street kind of collectively got together and decided to do an event where people could meet everybody who are behind the counters and kind of get involved in that way. So I think that should be cool. I don't know if I'm going to be able to go or not because I have some previous commitments. So we'll see if I can swing it. But William will definitely be there. The last time we had this event, both William and I had COVID, so we could not attend. So even though we helped put it on and help promote it and stuff, that was kind of a bummer, but it is what it is, and we don't want to get anybody sick. So plus, when you can't get out of bed, that makes it kind of hard too. All right, I see Suzanne says we got into the 90s, no rain today. Parts of New Orleans flooded on Labor Day. Oh no, that's not good. Let's see. I see more people have tuned in. Wow, it just jumped in comments. Marianne's watching. Hi, Marianne. Karen's watching. Hi, Karen. Julie's watching. Hi, Julie. Norma's watching. Hi, Norma. Sandra from Sweet Pea Gems is watching. Hi, Sandra. Amanda's watching. Hi, Amanda. Cheryl's watching. Hi, Cheryl. Barbara's watching. She says she's working and lurking. Good, good. Teresa's watching. Hi, Teresa. Amanda says it's 80 degrees with very high humidity. It's supposed to storm. It rained earlier and did not cut the humidity. I also have a headache, Andrew. Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's really beautiful outside, but it is warm. And I have this it's just right here. You can kind of see it makes these creases and right here on my forehead when I have that kind of headache. So we were talking about this at lunch at Touchstone about Botox, and one of the people there had gotten Botox in her face so that she would have less headaches, and she said it worked. So, and she said she had it in the back of her neck too. So I was like, sign me up. And she's like, yeah, it not only helps with that, but it helps keep my face calm. I was like, I want my face to be calm too. But when somebody else was like, I would never do that. So it's always interesting to see what people think. And they're like, that's poison. I was like, I don't we ingest all this kinds of poison anyway. Might as well, right? Get the microdermal abrasion while I'm at it. Um, for health purposes. Susie's watching. Hi, Susie. Donna's watching. Hi, Donna. She says, hello, everyone. That's good. Let's see. Who else? Who else? Donna says it's 91 degrees today with a slight chance of rain. It's supposed to be cooler this weekend. Oh, good. Somebody was saying it's supposed to be super hot. I don't know if they were talking about this week or next week, but they were saying there was a heat wave coming and it's pretty hot. I almost puked in my mouth yesterday when we were messing around loading stuff up because it was super dang hot. Was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday. So it was super dang hot, and we were loading and lifting and doing all this grunting and stuff. You know, I don't know how the rolling mills are so heavy because they're like this big. They're like this big, but they're so heavy. I guess it's because they're steel, but and then they're greased up too. So I was like, "Be careful, William! Don't drop it on your foot." Miss, I love these earrings Jen made. Oh, good. I'm glad you got to watch that. Let's see. Harry says, I watched Jen's tutorial. Nice stuff. Oh, good. I'm glad people still like it. Because sometimes you never know. So we look at the analytics and sometimes it's like super high and then sometimes it's low. So you never know. But I like it and I hope other people like it as well. Janice is watching. Hi, Janice. Janice has said, our heat warning ends tomorrow, but it's still supposed to get up to 89. That's hot. I mean, comparatively speaking, I know some of y'all are in the areas where it's like over 100 and stuff. But up here, I guess my blood got thick or something, but I'm not used to the heat anymore. I mean, when I was a kid, we would go out and it would be like a gajillion degrees and no problem at all. But now I'm like, the heat. Um, Where's my fan? Where's my fan, William? Um, Susan's watching. Hi, Susan. Let's see. Teresa says, I have a migraine today. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Hopefully it gets better. Susan says, sun and clouds here with a high of 80. I'll take it. Donna says, yeah, my sister had the Botox treatments for her migraines and it helped for a while. And then the next treatment didn't work. Oh, that's a shame. I guess it's one of the things where you can just have to try it. And sometimes people have bad reactions to it, and then some people they don't do it right, and it can make stuff droop. So I was like, I don't really want that. Marion says if Botox would help really chronic headache sufferers, I say go for it. Yeah, why not, right? Use all the tools at your disposal. Janice says yesterday was 98. Today it was 80. These temper changes are killers. Correct. Marion says I had a nice conversation with another who watched the premiere. Oh, good. That's awesome. Janice says hopefully the 90s are done for the year. Hopefully. Amanda says I must have Wicked Witch of the West because I melt as soon as it reaches 86. No, I think you just live in a cooler climate. And Donna says same here. Yeah, it's one of those things where and then Marianne says the West, Amanda, East Witch Shirley. We are I keep saying we, but I am listening to the Witches of Eastwind, which is by Nova Nelson, and it's an audiobook series. I'm sure there's e-readers, It's really charming. It helps me get into kind of like the Halloween mood to make stuff. They're real light-hearted. They're kind of like Pringles, where you can't eat just one. You have to eat like the whole container and then get another one. Um, and so I've been going through them really fast. And so I think Audible does this thing where they give you like a couple of the different ones, and so then they hook you, and then you're like, oh, well, I guess I should listen to all of them since I've listened to these ones. So now I'm on like book four, and I just started. So, anyways, yeah. Susan says, Janice, I hate those sun temperature swings. We could still get 90s, but hopefully not upper 90s or the hundreds. Oh boy. Donna says, well, I guess I'm the Wicked Witch of the South. That's funny. Man says, now we need a Northwest and West Witch. Any volunteers? I guess I'm Southwest Pennsylvania, so there you go. Anyway, that's funny. I thought of writing a story called The Wicked Witch of West Main Street, but I think I would have to move first. But anyways, so Suzanne says, has anyone read the London Seance Society? Great, mysterious, and good LGBTQ storyline. I haven't, but I'll check it out. That sounds like fun. All right. So what are we doing today? We've got a lot of stuff today. We've kind of taken a pause on the tutorials for a minute so that we can work on our fundraising. I hate to do that because I love to share information and techniques and how to do things. And if people are interested and they're like, I miss them so hard, let us know and maybe we can squeeze something in sometime. But for the time being, we're going to work on some fundraising. And one of the things that we're doing is we're trying to do a tool buyout. Now we're actually trying to do 2 tool buyouts. So one of our friends who's local, actually, they're moving to Florida and her health isn't as good anymore. And she's got really bad rheumatoid arthritis and is getting neck pain and all kinds of stuff. So they're hanging up the coat and they're going to move down to Florida and do that, live in Florida, and they're retiring from their jewelry business. So they have a lot of equipment, and we already got some of it, thanks to all of you out there who have helped make that possible. And so that's one person that we're trying to get some stuff from. They actually have a really cool house, and we went in their house, and it's actually really close to the cottage. And so William and I were like, what if we moved here? It would be like close to town, close to the cottage. I could actually walk to the cottage if I wanted to. Um, but I think their house is more expensive than our house. So I don't think that would work out. But I was like, what? They just leave the tools there and we'll just move right in. But I don't know if that would work out. But it would be cool to live near the cottage because then it would be right there. And they're just like right, almost like a couple doors down, which I think is funny because there's all these jewelers that all live right around there. And I don't know how that happened, if they planned that or what, but I thought that was pretty funny. And it's funny also because they keep up, they like keep an eye on the property. So they're like, oh well, we saw that some of the windows were blacked out and we didn't know what was going on. And so one of the things that we did over the winter is we covered some of the windows with the thick plastic so it'd keep the breeze from coming in until we can replace all the windows. And so there you go. So that it's nice to know that people are looking out for us. And our neighbors next to us, the ones who own Piddler's Pub, So if you're interested in buying like a tavern kind of restaurant situation, there is one available on the market here in Ligonier, and it's called Piddler's Pub. Um, if you haven't been and you are local, check them out before they close up shop. They're going to keep service until they sell the business. I know they were a little bit concerned that once they put the sign up, that people would think that they're out of business, but they're going to keep going until they sell the business. So definitely stop by. They have really good pizzas and, quick food like that. I've never hung out there at the bar, but I think maybe I'll try to go before they close. It might be interesting. Um, so I see a couple more comments. Oh boy. June's watching. Hi, June. Amanda says, I got the book Wayward by Amelia Hart. The cover alone sold me. It's gorgeous. And the first page, even before the book starts, is so cool. Yeah, I just finished that one. Um, I don't know. I kind of liked it, but there were some weird messages in that book, I thought. Um, but I thought it was okay. I don't want to ruin it for you. But yeah, I do think the cover art is super pretty, and that also sold me to get the book. And then plus magic. I love all books with a little magic in them. Let's see. So Janice says, Susan, I'm very familiar with St. Louis. My husband is from there, and his aunt and uncle who used to live in University City. Oh, good. That's a small world, y'all. All right, so that's one of the people who we're doing the tool buyout from. I wish them much happiness and luck in their adventures in Florida. And they have a house already there, so they're kind of relocating to be full-time Florida residents now. And it's funny, she's like, I'm tired of winter. And I was like, me too, but I still have to stick it out for a while. And then one of my other friends, she's having spinal surgery. So she is going to retire from travel teaching. She's still going to keep teaching in her home studio, but they're liquidating some of their tools and that they would take to classes. And we're trying to save up enough to buy the big tool buyout. And I thought we were closer than we were originally. But then William sat me down and he was like, here's how math works. And then I was like, oh, that's not what I thought. And so, yeah, so we need to still do we still need to do some fundraising, and we're getting closer little by little. My goal is to either stop on the way there. Okay, I'll scroll back a little bit. I want a scholarship to Aeromont in October, which is coming up so fast. It's making my head spin. And so I'm going to either stop on the way down to Aeromont or the way up. And I'm not sure which way, but I'm going to try to stop and do the tool pickup then, because they said that they had some things that they're going to help with the studio at the new space in Johnstown. So there you go. All right. So it's either that. So I'm gonna try my hardest to get all of everything sorted out before October. So this is going to be a big push month because we're also saving up for the winter time. So this is always usually our busiest time of the year. I mean, summertime is where we make most of the money in the store, but the fall is like the harvest time, and so we really hustle in the fall. So that's that's our hustle time. We got to save up for the winter when it's slower. Um, all right. So that is what we're doing the fundraising lots for. This is called the tool buyout lot. So it's TB. And we stopped at a certain point because I had to go to the other meeting. So I have a couple left. And then we have some more. We have all kinds of stuff today. So there's lamp work, there's metal components, there's stone strands, there's all kinds of stuff. So yeah, there's all kinds of different goodies. And just so you all know, we do have a D-Stash group. We don't really promote it very much because, when we opened this store, things kind of like, it was different. So we do have a D-Stash group. And in that D-Stash group, one of the things that we did is we took some of the money from all of the sales that we sold and we put it towards the recovery efforts in Maui. And, we can't always do, excuse me, we want to help as much as possible. And so by having people buy things, we're able to do more. And so that's how we are able to give back and help people in need. We've been recipients of people's good kindness. And so we try to extend that to other people as well. And things can change in a blink of an eye. You never know. So just so you know, all of our sales, at least a part of the sales go towards other things. We don't always talk about stuff like that, but we are a lending partner through Kiva, and so we help different small businesses around the world with different projects. And so we help people when they have little micro loans and different things like that. And we do a lot with a lot of different nonprofits. I sit on the board for Touchstone, so I'm always trying to fundraise for them so that they have money to operate and offer more scholarships. My birthday is at the end of the month, so I decided to do a Facebook fundraiser to help Touchstone get some more money for scholarships. And but we always try to give back because I think it's really important. We believe that the rising tide raises all boats. So if you're not in the D-Stash group and you didn't see the latest message, we kind of let people know how much we donated. It's not a ton, but we did a little bit. So we're always trying to do help where we can. I don't know. I think that's like for me also, like I would rather buy, like with the tool buyouts, I'd rather buy from somebody who needs the money than who doesn't. And I know that's not always possible, but I think it's one of those things where if I'm going to make that purchase, I want it to help somebody I know than just randomly. But anyways, I digress. So let me flip the camera. I'm sure I'm forgetting some stuff, but we've already been talking for half an hour, and probably that's enough. So let's get busy. You're gonna see the ceiling for a second, and then we'll start with the lots. We'll pick up where we left off yesterday. If you didn't get a chance to see the lots from yesterday, we did an earlier time start for that. We've been trying to migrate to a 6:30 slot. The problem with that is that a lot of our stuff happens at 6:30 already. So used to be we could kind of like do stuff at 5 and then like run and go do other stuff at a later time. But yeah, so we're trying to migrate slowly to a little bit of a later time slot, just so that it's a little bit easier for people to watch. But we'll see. We're kind of still figuring out and working things out. If you have a preference, let us know in the comments, and we'll keep that in mind, because it doesn't, it may be easier for us to do a certain time period, but or time slot. But if you need something else, then we can see. All right. So if you didn't see yesterday, we did a lot of lots. We did. We posted a lot of lots and showed them, and there's some really cool artisan lampwork glass beads. So if you're an artisan lampwork glass bead collector, check that out. We put them a little bit on discount. William shared some of the beads that he has. It's so funny because when he got roped into the bead world mainly because of me. So um, so it's interesting to see how he's developed as a creative person. I believe that everybody's creative and has the ability to make things. And I try to push and encourage people to do that. But, he's starting to kind of get into his own groove. And over the years, he's kind of picked up his own little treasures. And so he posted some of those. He was okay with letting go of some of them so that we could do this tool buyout. And yeah, so check those out from yesterday. I'm going to turn the screen around and then we'll get going. All right. Yeah, if you watched yesterday, we had some we had to hand off who was doing what because they were filming the live at the cottage. And so it was real interesting to see, I guess, if you can call that interesting. But let me open this window so you get a little bit more light. Oh, I don't know if that actually helped or not, but we'll pretend. So yeah, yesterday we had to hand off the cameras because we were using his phone, and then at some point I had to hook up mine, and there was some terrible feedback sounds, but yeah, we were successful. We were scared for a second that it would kick us both off. It seems like the past couple of weeks has been all kinds of technological issues, but we've been trying to navigate them with grace, especially with us. Sometimes it's super frustrating when you want to do something and it doesn't work out. But I think we're doing our best. So yeah. All right. Let's get down to business. Oh, I see Vanessa's tuned in. Hey, Vanessa. Norma says, I love artisan lamp work. Well, you're in for a treat yesterday because there's a bunch. All right. So up next is lot TB61. It's $12. This is I believe this is white bronze, but this is an symbol from Saki Silver. It's a pendant. Let me put this down for you. Oh, if you before I get started, y'all, and get serious about this, and I know most of you are well aware of how to claim things who have been watching, but for those of you who have not worked with us before, we do things different probably every time. So this is just a quick run through of how we're operating tonight's live event. So if you're interested in anything you see tonight, take down the lot number, send it to us in an email, and you're going to send that email to info@allegorygallery.com. It's super important that you get the spelling right. because we had somebody try to claim some things and they got super, super upset because their emails were getting bounced back and they weren't able to claim things. And what we realized is they were spelling allegory wrong. So just, sometimes we do it. It's when you're typing it in, and then sometimes also if you type it in wrong in your address book or you type it in your email, sometimes it saves that and it saves the wrong address. So be sure to kind of double check and keep an eye on it, especially if you have claimed lots and you don't see it, or you get a weird kind of bounce back message. It's info@allegorygallery.com. And if you've received an invoice from us recently, then probably you don't have anything to worry about. But so take down the lot number. And in the case where we have multiple lots available, you can tell us how many you want. If you don't tell us how many you want, we're just going to assume one. So that's kind of how we do it. And if you're new to us or you've had a recent change to your shipping address, let us know so that we can get your order out to you promptly and efficiently. Not only that, but we had another one where we had some packages returned and they had given us the wrong address. So please do make sure to check your address when you're sending it in. I know that in the desire to claim things, it can be frantic and stuff, but it's always good just to double check so that you get the things that you want. All right, so I can't remember. Is there anything else I need to say about how to claim? Y'all know how to do it. Y'all have been with us, some of you before we had the store. So send the lot number to us at info@allegorygallery.com. And there you go. All right. Vanessa says, "Oh, I'm getting the invoices. LOL." All right. Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you. All right. So this is a white bronze piece from Saki Silver. It's an symbol. And it's pretty lightweight. I like it. And it's TB61 and it's $12. So if you know anybody who's into yoga or is really into Eastern spirituality, this might be for them or for you. But yeah, I used to do, we had a yoga studio in town. I think, I don't know if we still have a regular yoga studio. I know they do yoga out at one of the facilities nearby called Oak Lodge. There's a really wonderful person named Willow Tracy who does them. But there used to be one that was next door to us when we had our annex space. And sometimes the people who would attend her workshops would come into the shop and we did all kinds of workshops with them. And we made mala necklaces and we made mala bracelets and we did a lot of stuff with alms and lotuses. And it was super popular. We did stuff with chakra gemstones. And I think people are still interested. It's one of those things where you just have to like find your groove or whatever. But anyways, we used to sell a ton of these and I think they're super popular still. So there you go. All right, let's move on instead of looking at the same lot over and over. Cheryl says, by the way, I love the new Global Adventure Kit. Arrived with my goodies this week. Oh, good. That's good. All right. This is TB62. It's only $5. And it's this cool glitter resin pendant. And I want to say, let me put this down so you can get the full scale of it. I want to say that my friend Melissa made that for us. So it's super pretty. I think this is supposed to be Marilyn Monroe from what I remember. But I guess it could be any kind of nondescript pinup bombshell kind of. girl, woman. So that's TB62 and it's $5 for this resin glitter pendant. Amanda said there is a new global adventure kit. I must have missed it. Susan says Dietrich. Maybe. Donna says that's who I was thinking. There you go. So that Amanda, the newest one is China. We didn't there was a mild delay because we send out those stickers for people's passports, the global adventure passports, and William got some stickers and they were like, I don't know what was on them, but they kept coming up and jamming the printer and it was getting to be a whole mess and stuff. So he had to order new ones, and though it took a while to get them, but he sent those in, or he got them to finally work. Vanessa says you can always tell people it was a self-portrait. That's true also. There you go. I mean, it says, I looked on the AG website. It's gorgeous. I tried hard. We didn't make as many of them because we know we kind of get the sense that when we first started making them, we made a ton of them and they sold out almost instantly. And then as we've progressed, they've been selling less and less. So I didn't make as many, and I think there's still some available. So anyways, so this is from an artist named Lily Pilly. We used to be set up near them all the time. They're from Colorado. This is laser engraved shell. And it's got a beautiful kind of green scrimshaw effect. And you get two in this lot. So this is TB63. It's $10 for the pair. And you'll get these pieces from Lily Pilly. Oh, Amanda says Global Adventure says it's sold out. Oh, so maybe it sold out over the Labor Day sale. That's good. I'm glad that people are finding them. All right, this is TB64. It's $10 for the pair. This is also laser engraved, laser engraved shell with a lotus design. I used to make well, I still make earrings for the shop, but not as much as I used to. And we used to have a lot, like I used to work in the store. I don't work in the store anymore, in the physical location. So there were times when I would be like, I'm tired of cleaning, I'm tired of pricing stuff. I would make earrings to pass the time, and they're kind of quick and easy. And like people would come and hang out, and I would make earrings, and we would like chat and stuff. And I would make these into earrings, and I sold so many of these. I can't even count. And I probably should do it again, but yeah, these are super lightweight. They are shells, so you can't go like roller derbying with them on, but they are pretty sturdy. And you can also put like a filigree behind them if you want like to frame them or kind of have a larger visual impact for a pendant on a necklace, or you can make something kind of like delicate and sweet, or you can make this part of kind of like a charm bracelet necklace. So, anyways, this is lot TB64. It's $10 for the pair. You get these two, exactly these two, because we only have that one one set of this particular design. So TB64 is $10, and it's these beautiful pieces that are made by Lily Pilly, and they're out of Colorado. So yeah, hopefully y'all have been doing well. We're doing okay. We just have a lot on our plates, and I keep kind of paring down my schedule, but somehow it keeps filling up. So I'm excited for when I can get back in the studio and can just kind of like veg out and create. All right, so this is lot TB65. It's $10 for the pair, and it's this beautiful kind of design, this abstracted floral design. It almost has a Middle Eastern kind of vibe to it. Either that or like English kind of craftsman movement kind of vibe, or even Art Nouveau. I could see that. Um, well, maybe. But there you go. So these ones are Laser Engraved Shell by Lily Pilly, TB65, $10 for the pair. All right. They're a really cool company. I don't get to see them as much because we don't do shows as much as we used to. We used to see them all the time. Now we're going to go across the country to Delaware. Delaware? I think it's Delaware. And we're going to see, this is for a pair also. And they're tied together, so I'm not going to try to untie them. But these are ceramic floral discs, and they're made by Marcia Neal Studio. They've got this beautiful kind of periwinkle, very light lavendery purple, and there's two of them. Marcia is a master gardener. I don't know if y'all knew that or not, but she is really into plants. So whenever we see each other, she's also into Pokemon Go. And so whenever we see each other, we talk about plants, what we're growing in our gardens and or growing in our yards, and if we caught anything pretty cool. All right. So we're moving to the middle of the country here. And this is Diane Hockey. She's out of, I think, Royal Oak, which is a suburb of Detroit. This is a ceramic piece by Diane Hockey. This is TB67, $13 for this component, this lot component. This is really cool. I could see this, you could definitely make, if you're working on any kind of like Halloween things, I could see that being like included, or like, I don't know. I think I would be tempted to put this into like a mermaid kind of necklace situation where it was like the lock had been at the bottom of the sea kind of business. I don't know. What would you make with that? That's TB67 and it's $13. Donna says, I love Marcia Neal's work. Yeah, she's a good egg. We've known her for a long time. I remember when she was doing her first shows ever, and I used to get some of her stuff. She used to do more abstract-y kind of style. All right, we're gonna move back to Marcia Neal, and this is TB68, and she's made these buttons, these kind of wood grain buttons, kind of swirly wood grain. So I have 4 of these available. Marion says something Halloweeny. So these are $3 a button. I've got 4 in total, so they are $3 each. So if you want more than one, just let us know. So these are really beautiful. They're kind of a brown, but they've got this kind of beautiful kind of ethereal blue in the recesses. I want to figure out what kind of glaze that is, because I'll be like, William, put that on a pot. That looks really nice. Now that I've said it, I think he has used it. So that's TB68, $3 a button. ceramic button, handmade by Marcia Neal Studio. Vanessa says, love those. All right, we're going to move to the desert, y'all. Well, maybe not move, but we're going to take a venture vicariously through the power of beads to Arizona with some pieces by Rita Schneck. And she made these really cool lampwork glass head pins. Let me see if I can put my hand behind that so you can see the color. So this is kind of like a purple with a little bit of kind of a yellowish green to it. I will say that if you're using your cutters, use your not fancy cutters on these to cut these if you're going to trim the wires. And that way, I can't remember if she uses a mild steel for her head pins, but yeah, I would not use my fancy Lindstrom pliers to cut this. But yeah, if you want to cut them, use those. Not Don't use your good ones. But these, it makes it extra sturdy, and also so it doesn't burn up in that when she's making them. All right, so this is Rita Schneck, and this is a head pin, a decorative head pin. There's a little bit of a curvature in these, and the reason why I did not straighten these out is because every time you do it, you work harden it, and so I want who's going to work with it to have them be in control of how work hardened they are. So if you notice there's like a curve in it, I could take it out and make it straight, but then it could get curved again. And then every time you kind of manipulate it, it gets a little bit harder. And so I don't want to necessarily do that for y'all. So that's TB69, $7 only for that head pin. Yeah, so I met Rita originally at a retreat, and she was taking it, and that was a good time. I used to, my friend Candy Cooper, she invited me to teach at one of the retreats that she did, and that was super nice. So here's another one. So if you wanted to make earrings, this is TB70, and it's only $7. And that's how much I paid for them, to be honest. I remember I had to work a show also while I taught. So then we met up like in the parking lot, and then it was kind of like a backroom deal kind of business. But this is TB70, because sometimes if you don't, if you don't have a booth and you're selling stuff, you get the show promoters are not happy about that. So yeah. Oh, I also wanted to mention that Ava Motherwell of the Whole Bead Show, she did a competition, a kind of a friendly design challenge between a bunch of different designers in the jewelry world. And so she sent out these little kits made up of mostly vintage plastic, and she sent those all over the country. And I was one of the lucky ones who got picked for this first round. And so everybody made a piece and sent it in, and she photographed it. And voting is up now. It's at the Whole Bead Show Facebook page. And if you want, you can pick your favorite by liking the picture. And yeah, so I think we're currently in the lead. So I don't know I can't remember when the cutoff time is for that, but we're currently in the lead. My Kitty Comfort necklace is up, and people can vote for it, and it's in the lead, but it's a very slim margin. But so all of you who voted for me, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's always nice when people like the things you make. So yeah. Donna says, have 2 of those head pins. Oh, good. Teresa's voted for you. Thank you. So this is TB71. Let me see if this helps. I don't know if that helps or not. But you get it's kind of like a cranberry color with a little bit of like a greenish, yellow green. And it's a head pin. And the head pin, the wire is actually fairly long. I don't see the ruler here. So I don't know how long it is. If you want to know, I'll tell you later. But if you don't really care, then I'm not going to go try to hunt for a ruler right now. So this is TB71, handmade lampwork glass, artisan made head pin by Rita Schnecks. Only $7 for the head pin. So I'm going to do a couple. We've got a couple of these. So we're just going to go through them and there's a bunch of different kinds. Marion says end September 12th. So if you haven't voted, do it after the live. Yeah, thank you, Marianne, for being on top of it. All right, this is TB72. This one's also $7. And this one is a little bit kind of that lavendery with that greenish yellow on the tip. Those are really fun. Handmade lampwork glass head pin by Rita Schneck of Arizona. All right. I always like to see where people are making stuff. So maybe one day when I have a little bit more flexibility, we'll take this show on the road and we'll go around and document the stories of where people are making things. And all right, so this is TV73. It's $7. Now this is another one of those lampwork glass head pins. It's this beautiful orange color, and then there's a heart on the back. It's kind of a corally orange color, so there's a little bit of a pink hue to it. It's got that heart on it. I think that could make a really cool kind of stacked up pendant. You know, you can pick some of your favorite beads and put them on and then have it as like a focal. I think that'd be really cool. I'm a big fan of picking things that have sentimental meanings and kind of have stories in them. Yeah. I like to think about the people who've made the things that I use in my jewelry. It's a nice thing. Susan says, that's adorable. Marianne says, Andrew is in the lead. Let's keep him there. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I often say this, we are small. Okay, so my grandma, when she met Azalea for the first time, Azalea, who's my niece, was a baby at the time, and she grabbed my grandma's finger real hard, and she goes, "Ouch!" She's not. It didn't really hurt, but she's acting up for the baby. And so she goes, "It's strong. It's small, but it's stout." And I kind of think of that with us, like even though I've been in the business for over 20 years, we're not like super well known. I mean, we're kind of well known, but some people have over 100,000 followers, or 30,000, 40,000, 50,000, 60,000, and they get like hundreds of interactions on all of their posts. We're not like that, so I kind of think of it as like our AG Beat fam is small. It's small, but it's stout. And I think that, even though we're not the hugest company out there in the bead biz, we still, our people care about us and they want us to succeed in everything we do. So, I feel really fortunate that, even though we don't have like crazy a million followers or even 50,000 followers, we still have a good crew here where people genuinely care about us and want us to succeed in all the things that we do. So another opportunity to say thank you and express gratitude to all of you out there who believe in us, who believe in me and William and our vision and want us to keep going. So thank you. Susan says AG Bead fam is small but mighty. Yeah, it's like that Shakespeare quote. She is small but she is fierce. All right. So here is lot TB75. This is, I believe this is a Raku Peruvian piece, if I'm not mistaken. It's kind of one of those faceted nuggets. It's pretty large and in charge. I'll put that down next to the penny so you can see that. It's still pretty lightweight. So you can, I probably would not use that for earrings, but if you wanted to, you probably, if you have a sturdier earlobe, then maybe. But anyway, so that's TB75, $4. I have two of these, but they're different enough that I wanted to show them individually. All right. So this is Raku Ceramics, probably from Peru. Only $4, TB75. If you're interested, please take down the lot number and send it to us at info@Allegory Gallery. The instructions on how to participate are scrolling at the bottom of this video. So if you forgot or you're confused, don't be. It's there for you and your convenience. All right, TB76, another one of the Raku faceted nuggets. This one has a little bit of more of that burnt kind of bronze, kind of a reddish brown color. That's more, I think that that's more associated with the Raku process, but there's so many different kinds of ways that you can do Raku. That it just depends, right? How you do it, because some people do it like sawdust and some people do it with like feathers, and there's like crackle, and there's more of the shiny parts where it goes and gets iridescent. All right, so we're gonna go from Peru and we're gonna go across the ocean and we're gonna go all the way to Venice. We're gonna go to Italy, y'all, with these beads. Now, this is Venetian glass beads. They've got a foil and then they've embedded that and put the clear on top. So it's $14 for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 beads. These used to be super expensive back in the day. And I mean, they're still not the most expensive, but yeah. So these ones are Venetian glass and this is lot TB77 and it's $14 for the whole lot. Terry says, I just voted for Andrew's Kitty Comfort necklace on the Facebook Whole Bead Show page. I was number 296. Well, thank you, Terry. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's always nice when we can boost that up. I like it. It's all, I feel really fortunate to have been asked to participate. You know, I try really hard when I do these kind of competition-y things. I realize not everybody's going to like the things that I make. So it is nice when people value and appreciate the things that you make. That's a nice confirmation. All right, so these are slightly larger than the last ones. And it's $5 for these 2 Venetian glass foil beads. So there's a dark kind of jet core and that kind of little silver foil on top. And then it's encased with this kind of AC clear that kind of magnifies all that goodness. This is lot TB78 and is $5 for the pair. Yeah. So, you know what's coming up? The anniversary for the store being open. Did y'all know about that? We will be celebrating, we're going to be going into our 13th year of business coming up in just a little bit, just a few days. It feels like it's hard to imagine. So, here's some more Venetian glass. There's this one, this coin, this one for a matching one. Those would make really cool earrings. So they both have that kind of pale, kind of orchid color on the back or the front, however you want to look at it, and like a darker kind of like a Concord color. And then there are these 2 accompanying rounds that are corresponding and matching, and it's $10 for those 4 beads. And those are true Venetian glass beads. Those aren't the knockoffs, those are the real deal. So that's TB79. So we're going into our 13th year of the store. I've told this story probably a gajillion times at this point. But yeah, so I don't know if y'all know this or not, but I'm a cancer survivor. I had a really aggressive form of skin cancer. And thankfully, I was able to be, I had things surgically removed. They removed over half a square foot of skin from my body. And thankfully, I didn't have to do any radiation. But they caught it just in time because it was kind of going away because I had these a tumor and or carcinoma, and so I had a tumor and it was kind of going away. So I was like, oh, I'm just gonna. I don't really care about like whatever. I didn't have health insurance at the time because I had just moved to Pennsylvania, and uh, so William was like, you have to go to the doctor. You have to go to the doctor and check it out. So I went to the doctor and they said, yeah, it's going away on the surface, but it actually is going deeper. And if you would have waited, it would have reached the muscle wall and gone, they call it metastasized and spread through all of your vital organs. Um, so thankfully, I was able to get surgery and it wasn't a problem. I mean, it was a problem, but when I was in surgery or after in the recovery, they had stapled the skin on this on my sides. They didn't stitch it up these staples, so it was really hard to kind of move because it's almost like I had gotten like liposuction or something where they had like chopped a bunch of skin off and had was basically like wearing a corset. And it was really hard to move. And so when I would lay down to sleep, it was really hard for me to sleep. So at the time, William, he we would sleep in the same bed, but he couldn't sleep in the bed with me because whenever he would move, it would jostle me and it would pull on the staples. And so I had to sleep by myself. And so he actually slept on the floor next to me while I was in bed. And I couldn't really sleep very well. So I was coming in and out of sleep all night. And so what we would do is I called it when we were dreaming out loud. And so we were talking about things that we had wanted to do, maybe one day, someday, kind of dreams about the future. And William, he used to play bank with this desk or he would play store, and he was like the banker of the store, and he would like make the change. And he would play with that with his grandma's desk. And when I was a kid, we did not have very much money at all. And so there was a shop that was in the Florida where nearby where I grew up. And the shop owner kind of knew that that I didn't have a lot of money. And so she would do little things like sometimes she'd give me odd jobs in exchange for store credit. Um, and so that I could get a little thing of like incense or something. And so she also was the first person to sell my work. I used to make little paintings, which I still do now, all these years later. And I used to make these little polymer clay creatures, which I still do all these years later. And so she would sell those and I would make a little bit of pocket money. And so I kind of liked the idea that her store wasn't just a place to buy things, but it was a place where I could go and feel safe. And it was kind of an alternative space. So it was one of those places where a lot of people met from all different backgrounds. And it was a lovely space. And that left a big impression on my life, and how about wanting to create that for other people. So it wasn't just about selling stuff, but it was a place where you could go to feel safe and form community and family and camaraderie. And um, so that was kind of stuck in my mind. And I told him that story. And you know, I got better eventually and healed up. And, but I also had gotten a ton of medical debt. And thankfully, somebody heard my story on the internet, and they were an advocate for patients. And so between fundraising and the work of that law office, we were able to pay off that debt. Um, and at that same night that that happened, there was a business that was down the street that was starting up, and it was called Mountain Palace. Clay and Lacey started that, and I had emailed them at some point. And I was like, "What y'all doing?" And because we would pass by it every day when we'd go to the post office, and so he or she wrote back and they said, "Oh, we're starting this restaurant and we're opening tomorrow." And so we went there and ate dumplings, and they told us all about how they had started this business and there was all these hurdles that they had to jump through, but it was really a good feeling for them, and it's something that they wanted to do for a long time. And they told us about how at one point the previous owner had wanted to open a restaurant in that spot, but they had uh, uh, unfortunately passed away from cancer before they could make that happen. And so um, it was a really inspiring kind of story about how they got their business off the ground and running. And then after their restaurant closed, we pretty much were their only customers that day, and had been there like the whole day. Then we still wanted to celebrate and that we paid off all this massive debt. And so we went out to this little place in Johnstown, a little dance club, and we just happened to run into somebody from Ligonier. And we're like, "What are you doing here?" And they're like, "Well, I'm just hanging out." So by the end of it, they told us that they had a space that was in the front of their business and they needed somebody to move in or they were going to get kicked out. And I guess they couldn't afford the rent on their own at that point, and so they desperately needed a roommate. And at first, I was like, "No way! I travel too much." Um, and then William's like, "Well, if you want to not travel as much, then this might be something that you could do." And they must have worked some kind of magic on me because by the end of the evening, we were talking about how we were dreaming about having a little store someday, one day, maybe, And the next day we showed up with tape measures and started looking at the square footage. And then we started the store. All right. So it's TB80, and this is $8 for this kind of alien ceramic fruit with a gold luster. I don't remember who made this. It's super cool, but I don't remember who made this. And then once we decided to start the store, we wrote out our business plan, and I went to our local bank. And our local bank, the bank manager laughed in my face and said that we would be closed in 6 months, and that they would never give us a loan because we were going to fail. And so I think that that's one of those things where it was a blessing in disguise. It was one of those things where sometimes things don't work out, and they actually work out better, because we started off with very little, but we didn't have any debt going into it. Like we didn't have to repay any loans when we went back into our business. So William, when he was in New York City, he used to work for Apple, and one of his pay benefits was he had a stock option, and so he had a little bit of stock in Apple. And I hate to think about that, because if he wouldn't have sold it, we probably would have had a lot of money now. Instead, it was during a recession time. It was like the second housing bubble crisis, so the debt ceiling had been lowered at that point. And anyway, so we cashed in his stocks, and so we had about $10,000, and we started the store with that. And that's everything. I mean, that's the website fees, that's getting started with business fees, our advertising, our inventory, everything, even furniture. You don't really think about furniture, and you're like, oh well, I'm going to sell this thing. Well, yeah, there you go. So I was very lucky when we started, and the community really rallied around us. I had a blog for many years, and people from all over the community kind of pitched in and helped us get going, and we've been going ever since. So that's about 13 years ago. I don't know, it's really 12 years, but it's like, how old are you? And you don't say have celebrated a completion of this many years and you're going into this one. So I guess we're 13 if you go by like birthday, but we've had almost 12 complete years of being in business. So that's TB81, and it's $8 for that kind of eggplant. It's ceramic with a gold luster. Marianne says an eggplant. Donna says, Marianne, it looks like one, doesn't it? Yeah, it could be. I think that if you had the right person, they would laugh their head off if you talked about an eggplant emoji. All right, so that was TB81. I'm going to scooch in a little bit because I've been like hunching over so I don't hit the stand on accident, and my back is starting to hurt. Terry said, Andrew's recovery story should remind us all to believe in miracles. They do happen every day. Patience and gratitude will see you through. Correct. So this is TB82, and it's $10 for this lampwork glass bead. It has these really cool little eyes. I can't remember who made this. I remember we were at a show, and I got it at the show. But that was before I started really keeping track. But I think this is really cool. That's TB82 and is only $10. So Terry, since you're new to us, how did you find us? I'm always curious how people find us. So this is an artisan lamper glass bead. That's TB82, and it's $10 for the speed. Yeah. So we used to be in with a bookstore, and our first 2 years, I think, we were in with a bookstore. We quickly realized that we had run out of space. Our space was very small. We did have a cute courtyard at the time, but it was a very small space, and we quickly ran out of space. I tell this story about how when we first started, I had this idea that we would hide everything in drawers and pockets and store things away. And we didn't really have any money for furniture, and this was also why we did this. And one of the things we got is, I think William's grandma gave something to his mom, and it was like a dresser. And we used that dresser for our store fixture. So we took that dresser and we like loaded it full of stuff. And then people had to like open the drawers and dig through things, and that was how we got started. But we realized pretty soon that most people did not like to dig for stuff. If they didn't see it right away, then they wouldn't look at it. They didn't know to look for it. So a lot of what we learned about the store and merchandising and all of that, we learned kind of trial and error. Both of us have worked in retail before that. I used to do trade shows all over the country and still did that. And William used to work for a French boutique in New York City and work for Bloomingdale's and a couple different other retail places. We actually met at a bookstore where he was working called Books of Wonder. And so both of us had kind of retail backgrounds, but it was one of those things where we didn't actually know that kind of stuff. Like neither of us went to school for like how to start a small business. So we kind of had to figure things out as we went along. And yeah, so this is TB83. This is $12. This is a pomegranate link. My sister made this for another company. And I bought up a bunch of these, and these are the ones that are left. This is a pomegranate pendant link, $12. This is brass, and I have two of these available. And they've got a really cool kind of matte finish to them. So if you're interested in that, you could polish them up if you wanted them to be shiny, but I don't want to do that because it's harder to go to matte or from shiny to matte than it is to go from matte to shiny. So yeah. So I've been telling you all these stories, old time stories about how we got started. So yeah. So this is lot TB84. I have 3 of these bronze pendants available. These are kind of Raveny Crow pendants with a cutout. These were also made by my sister. These are double-sided, so if it flips over, then you're okay. And so this is that. I have 3 of these available. So if you're interested in anything that you see, you can email us at info@allegorygallery.com. All right, that's TB84, $16 per brass pendant. Yeah, so we we learned a lot. So we were at that bookstore for the first 2 years-ish of our business. And then we got an annex space, which was down the road, which was not, we learned also a lot about location, and about doing, it was not an ideal situation. But we had that. So maybe we got that. We were in business for about a year, and then we got the annex because we had the annex for about a year because that's how long the lease was. So we did all this construction to fix up the annex, and we were right next to this yoga studio. And I thought we were fine. And then one day I went in there, and they were having a class next door. And the woman was like, lift your pelvis, lift your pelvis, lift your pelvis. And I was like, oh no. And I realized that they could hear us and we could hear them. And so we ended up having to soundproof the walls, and it was a big kind of ordeal. And I think we lost more money than we actually made off of that space. So that was a really big learning curve, and it was hard. When we first opened the store, it was mostly just me at the store. So I worked almost 7 days a week. I think it was 7 days a week. I worked also at the same time. I was working for books and magazines, and I did tech editing on the side. So I would write articles and check other people's work, and would do my blog, and had a little online store. I had an online store called the Skull Shop where I sold only skulls. I don't know if any of you remember that or not. Um, and that was really hard to do that because when we moved to the country, we didn't really have reliable internet. So I could only work between the hours of like midnight and 5 a.m. And so that was really hard to do that because I would be working all day at the store, and then I would work freelance, and I was working like all the time, and that was super hard. Anyway, so this is TB85. It's $4. I only have one of these. This is by Anna Bronze, and it's a pendant, but you could probably use that as a toggle. It's really beautiful. It's got a gold plating on it. It's got that really beautiful yellow gold, which is like almost an Aztec kind of yellowy orange gold color. This for this bronze piece. Pretty lightweight for it, but that's TB85. $4 only. There's only one of those available. Marian says, before my time in the family. Susan says, OMG, not funny, but funny. Yeah. And so, yeah, that's how we started. And then when there was a shop that opened up down the street from us, there was a woman named Gary who had a clothing book or boutique called Zazzy's. And Gary, she was one of those people who was like one of the merchants who couldn't leave the merchant community. She like loved having a store. So she had a Mika, and then she sold it, and then she's like, I'm retired. And then she's like, oh, but I'm not retired. So she opened the store called Zazzy's. And her husband and them have Union Vale coal. And they have a house out in New Mexico. But anyway, so then she was like, no, I'm really retiring. So she closed up that spot. And the day that she had kind of closed up the spot, our friend Amy Hepler, who owns Scamps Toffee, she ran over to me and she says, Andrew, come with me right now. I'm like, where are we going? What are we doing? I got to lock up the shop. And so she dragged me over there, and she showed me that space, and we moved into that space. Um, and Yeah, we had been in that space. I call it the beige store because the walls were beige. Um, and it was a little spot, but it was bigger than what we had. And we were there probably 4 or 5 years. Let me see. How does that math work out? So maybe longer than that because we moved into the current space in 2018, and then um, I don't know. I can't remember how long we were there, but then we were there for a long time, and eventually William left his job full time and moved to the store full time. And I worked at the store. I only worked from home And then we bought the house when that happened. So we were moving into the house at that time. And so we were able to walk to work. And then, before we were living out on 90 acres, we were renting from his aunt. And then, so we moved into town. So this is like a little orange slice. This is also from Anna Braun's, and is really cute. I love that. And so we were in there for at least 4, I want to say maybe 6 years. Maybe 6, I don't know. And then eventually we moved to the new store. And then over the pandemic, we got the Star Cottage studio. And we've had that for 2 years, believe it or not. And this is TB87. It's $8.50 for this kind of focal piece, this orange slice focal piece. And it's got 4 bales in the back. You see that? 4 bales, and then there's a hole in the center. So if you wanted to make this into like a bracelet, something or another, you could do that. Or you could hang it from just one and use that as a focal, or you could use a rivet and put something in the center there. There's a lot of little options that you could do. You could do a multi-strand necklace. And yeah, this is that gold-plated bronze. It's TB87, and it's only $8.50 for that, which is very affordable. So yeah. So our next big thing is the new space in Johnstown. So that is what we're never going to stop working. No, we've got too many. I'm like, oh, that our next project is that. But we always have another project in the waiting. All right, this is TB89. This is $15, and this is fluorite. It's like a golden fluorite. Oh no, this is not. That's pre-night. This is pre-night. I take that back. There's one bead that because usually pre-night has like a black inclusion, and there's one bead where you can see it's got that little bit of black. So I only have one strand of this. If it's available, this is TB89. This is pre-night. It's $15 for the strand, and yeah. So I thought it was that because I had bought some at the same time from the same vendor, but it's pre-night. I hear one of my kittens calling me. I think it's Gertie. She's like, let me out and play. All right, so this is TB89. And, oh, we jumped. We jumped a lot. No, we didn't. I jumped one. All right, so this is out of order, but as long as you put in the lot number, it's okay. So I have 2 of these available. These are a type of green emerald. They have been augmented, so they have been dyed, but they're still pretty. And they're only $32 for a strand of emeralds. I have 2 lots of these available. This is a full strand. These beads are approximately 6mm rounds, and these are emeralds, which is a type of beryl. BERYL. And they're very kind of glowy. Aren't those pretty? They got that kind of little star business going on here. All right, so it's CB88, and it's $32 per strand, which is a deal because our suggested retail is this. So you get a little bit of a discount, I think. I mean, this is sweet little Gertie. Yes, she wants to play. They haven't been able to play as much because we've been working on the back room at the shop. And so they're a little bit disgruntled with William and me right now. They're like, how come you're not playing with me? And so they sass me pretty hard when they see me. So anyways, hopefully you all are doing well. What are y'all having for dinner? I made like a cabbage stew last night, and it was okay. I've used all the Amish farm goods that I picked up yesterday, and it was okay. I think it needed a little bit more tomato in it, and we'll probably have leftovers of that tonight. All right, so this is TB90. This is a strand of lapis. So you can see it's got a little bit of that gold flake in there in the lapis. And this is AAA. This is what the regular suggested retail is for this. So you're getting a little bit of a deal. So it's $24 for this. These are 6mm. Beautiful color. I think those are nice. Those are smooth. So this is lot TB90, and it's $24 for the strand. All right, I've got a few more strands. I don't think I'm going to make it all the way to 100 tonight, but we'll have more to show tomorrow. Amanda said, Susan says, probably a chicken patty, the vegetarian chicken patty. Amanda says, tomorrow I want to make zucchini and tomato bake. What's a tomato bake? Is it like a tomato pie? And then Donna says, I had chicken salad, avocado, fresh tomato, and cantaloupe from my local farm. That sounds good. Amanda says, tonight we had leftover barbecue chicken and sweet corn. We had sweet corn last night. I ate so much of it. I think we both ate so much of it that it almost made us sick. So these are carnelian. These are only $15. I have 3 strands of these available. These are 8mm. So if you need 8mm carnelian, this is a full strand. These are very juicy color. Very juicy. And this is lot TB93, $15 a strand. I have 3 strands available. Norma says, I had vegetable spaghetti with mushrooms, onions, and peppers, and garlic bread. That sounds good. Amanda says, layered zucchini and tomato slices with Parmesan and other cheeses with a panko crust on top. Oh, that sounds good. That sounds really good. And in theory, I could make that. Well, I don't have Parmesan cheese, but I could make that. Cheryl says, you got me on that carnelian. Aren't they pretty? They're glowing. Donna says, Amanda, that sounds delicious. Yeah, that does. All right. TB93, $15 only. Yeah. It's been a really, I get kind of in this introspective mood when we come up to like birthdays and anniversaries. I always use those kind of touchstones or milestones as a way to reflect over the things that we've done and the things that we want to do. I think it's a really healthy thing to do, to kind of step back and look at the things, all the things, and celebrate the small victories. I got a fortune cookie, and they said that not to let my ambition get in the way of celebrating small victories. And I was like, hashtag too soon. But anyways, so um, yeah, so I've been thinking a lot about this store and our lives and the things that we've been able to do. I feel very fortunate to be able to do all the things that we do. You know, not everybody is able to do all the things I do. I take a lot of classes, and granted, I get a lot of scholarships and things like that. But you know, not everybody's fortunate enough to, um, you know, work creatively full time. So I feel fortunate that we're able to do that. You know, over the course of the years, we've met a lot of wonderful people, and I'm not going to get super, like, I'm going to start crime business because that would be uncomfortable probably for y'all. But over the years, we've met a lot of really wonderful people. Unfortunately, some of those people have passed. And um, I'm, I'm getting choked up thinking about it. But it's been one of those things where we've been so lucky to have met those people. And a lot of those people we would not have been able to meet if we did not have this store. And so I feel very blessed that we were able to meet those people and connect with them. And they were a part of our lives, and we were a part of their lives. And I try to take this opportunity to remember them and think about, you know, who they were and the impacts they've made on our lives. And so, yeah, there's a lot of very special people that we think about this time of year. So this is a type of agate, and it's TB92, and it's $12 per strand, and I have 3 strands of those available. I mean, this year I have been loving zucchini after not being so fond of it for a long time. I love zucchini, y'all. I never really liked it as a kid because I didn't really have a lot of zucchini. I don't remember us having a lot of zucchini, but I like it as an adult for sure. And then it has a lot of versatility. I mean, I haven't made zucchini bread in a long time. William's grandma, she used to make it. So when she would make it, then I was like, I don't need to make this. It was kind of sad when, because she used to make it and we put it in our freezer. And it was kind of sad, like when we finally ran out of the zucchini bread in the freezer. And so that was kind of sad because she has since passed. But so this is TB. I did these out of order, but that's fine. So that's TB 91, and it's $15. I only have 1 strand of this tiger eye available. And I believe this is also 8mm. It's one of those little things where it's like a reminder that things were kind of like final. So it's TB 91, $15 only. So yeah, I think it's one of those things where that's just life, right? You know, you you meet people and you love people, and sometimes things end or sometimes they begin. Um, and so life is like that. It's bittersweet, I think. But always good to think about the good things and not get swept up in the things that are not good. All right, let me see how far I went out of order. So that's TB 93. Marion says zucchini bread is the best way to use up the bigger ones. All right. All right. So, this is lot TB94, and it's $14. And this is for a strand. Let me see how many of these I have because I didn't count this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I have 7 of these available. These are 6mm. There's a full strand. And this is um, uh, Super 7 stone. So it looks mostly like amethyst to me, but there's a couple of other ones on there. But that's TB94 and it's $14 per strand, and I have 7 of those available. Marianne says, lucky you, my grandmother made trifle. You don't like trifle? All right. So I think I'm going to do one more because I'm kind of like, I have everything set aside, but it's going to take me a minute to do it. And I don't like to wait in between the lots too much. So there's already a bunch. So I picked all of these and set them aside, but I didn't get a chance to do that. All right, let me put this aside. So this is lot TB95, and this is for rose quartz. I only have one of these available. This is a good quality rose quartz. The color is really nice. Sometimes you get rose quartz and the color is like, ugh, or it's not there. So this is a good quality. This was originally $28.80 for a triple A grade rose quartz. I say triple A grade, but I'll tell you a secret. Sometimes that doesn't mean anything because everybody comes up with their own system. So like when you go into Tucson, there's gemstones from all over the world, and there's like stuff piled on top of piles and piles and piles and stuff. And people will tell you like the cheapest kind of crappiest stuff is like, oh, this is triple A grade XYZ stone. And you're like, huh, who is this comparing to? What is like D grade? So every company has their own system of grading. So just keep that in mind. So if somebody tries to sell you something and they're like, oh, this is triple A grade, so you have to pay more for it. You kind of have to take that with a grain of salt. And the reason why I say that, especially when I'm trying to sell you something that's triple A grade, is because you kind of have to use your own best judgment when it goes in there. And I don't want you all to get ripped off because I see this happen all the time on the internet, particularly. People will talk about how something is triple A grade or triple A grade plus plus or plus plus this or diamond level or whatever. They'll make up all kinds of things. So for these strands, the reason why I would say this is a nicer strand of rose quartz is that the color. So that's $18 for this one strand. I only have one of these available. That's TB 50 or 95. And let's see how big this is. This is a 6mm stone. So this was originally $28.80, but it's $18 now. Let's see. Marianne says, I used to love trifle until the year she put candied caraway on it instead of sprinkles. Diana says, Marion, oh no. Amanda says, candied caraway, why? Marianne says, it was really awful, Donna. I can't even. Candied caraway, is that? It would be like an aniseed kind of flavor, right? Susan says, my mother's grandma used to force her to eat rhubarb pie since she grew it in her garden and hated it. And so to this day, I've not eaten rhubarb. Um, when we were kids, here's a fun story. We used to spend our summers in Arkansas in a little tiny town called Piggott, Arkansas. And it was a tiny town. And we were, I mean, there's a lot of stories about spending summers in Arkansas. But my grandparents lived there. And she was friends with this woman named Adeline Bozier. And so my grandma, she had grown up in the Great Depression. So she was very frugal. Both her and my grandfather were very frugal. And so um, they were very salt of the earth people. And, they weren't like my grandma was a good cook, but she wasn't like a gourmet cook. And she kind of just like, you kind of ate stuff and it would taste good. There was like a lot of things she could cook well. But the things she wasn't really familiar with, she wasn't necessarily, it was before the internet. So it wasn't like you could look up recipes and get like a YouTube tutorial on how to beat certain things. And, nowadays you can make almost anything from getting recipes off the internet. And so Adeline Bozier was one of her neighbors, and uh, she was a good cook. I mean, everything that she made was like restaurant level, kind of good. And she made a strawberry rhubarb pie, and all of the kids were like crying. It was so good. And my grandma was a very competitive person. Like if you played games with her, like board games, you were in it to win it. There was no like come in second best and everybody did good. You had to win. And like she would do like a little dance and have like a little song and laugh and stuff when she won. And when she was losing, she was not into it. She was a very sassy Southern lady, and she had very colorful descriptions of how she was feeling at the time. And so we went over to Adeline Bozier's house once, and we had the strawberry rhubarb pie, and I could see she was not interested in the kids praising her Adeline so hard. And I was like, I called her Grandma Bozier, and I think that was the straw that broke the camel's back because she's like, I'm your grandma. She's not your grandma. I'm your grandma. And I was like, Grandma Bozier, I love your pie. And so I was just being nice, and she's the older woman, and I didn't think anything of it, but that really got underneath my grandma's skin. So she made it her mission to make strawberry rhubarb pie. And let's just say this: if you've never cooked rhubarb before and it's your first time to cook it, you can you can not do a good job, and it can be nasty. And because rhubarb, if you don't cook it right, it can be super bitter. And rhubarb is actually toxic, I believe, unless you cook it. And so she made these pies, and she would not make anything else to eat until she perfected this pie. And I remember my grandpa, he was getting disgusted because she would cook dinner and she stopped cooking dinner. She got fixated with this pie. And each time she made that pie, it just was worse and worse and worse. And like, when you cook a pie and the filling soaks up into the crust and it makes the crust soggy and basically it just turns into mush. So there was that. And then once the rhubarb wasn't cooked right, so it was super bitter and tasted like it tastes like gasoline. And at one point, like the strawberries had done something funky and it caused the cream to split, and she just could not make that pie. And my grandpa was getting so disgusted because she stopped making food. So we ended up eating like a bologna sandwich, like bread and a piece of bologna, maybe some mustard smeared on it, but I don't even think it was we had that fancy. And at one point we had like hot dogs that were like from the refrigerator and in the buns. And at one point my sister said, "Grandma, can you make your pumpkin pie? I would really like to have your pumpkin pie." And that was a thing. Um, like my grandma could make a good pumpkin pie. And that was the thing that broke her out of that kind of fixation, that revenge pie baking. Like you don't think about that like as being a thing, but that was like vendettas over pies. But we never went to the Bosier's house to eat again. I mean, they invited us, and like I used to I was pen pals with them, with Mrs. Bosier, and so I used to write to them as a child, and she's like, "When are y'all gonna come over? We miss you." And my grandma's like, "Don't count on it." So we never went over to their house ever again for dinner. But anyways, so the pumpkin pie was what broke her out of her spell, and so she made a pumpkin pie and then came to her senses. And then so we could eat regular food. Like my grandma, she could fry a fish, and that's one of those things where I'm a vegetarian now, but that is something that I would consider like breaking the vegetarianism for, is if I could have grandma's fried fish. Or there was some other things. Like she made this dressing, and it's basically stuffing, but they called it dressing. Um, and that was also good. All right. I digress. Marion says, I love rhubarb pies. Susan says, I've never eaten it. Marion says, as for caraway, it's not something I care for. I can say that. Amanda says, I love rhubarb pie with a meringue top. Man says caraway is not quite like aniseed. Donna says, Miriam, me neither, and I don't like anise either. Marianne says, I've never had any kind of rhubarb pie. Susan says, uh-oh. Marianne says, or fennel seed either, Donna. But it isn't caraway seed the seed for like a carrot? I don't know. I'm making stuff up. It's those little ones. I can't remember. Because I had a caraway seed bagel, I feel like. They got stuck in my teeth. Marion, she said, Amanda said, oh, really, Marion? I wonder if it's a regional thing with a meringue. Susan says it gets mushy. Amanda says, I ate rhubarb raw, dipped in sugar every summer in my youth. Oh, boy. Marion says, maybe our rhubarb pie had a custard base. Yeah, that's the one that I had growing up. It was a custard base, and then on top was like a gel that was made with rhubarbs that were cooked down with strawberries and a crap ton of sugar. Amanda says, yes, my pie too had a custard base. What was your top pie crust? Marion says, usually a lattice crust. Susan says, my mom made the best fried chicken. I'd stop being vegetarian for one meal if I could have her fried chicken again. Correct, me as well. They were serving. We went to the teachers appreciation dinner at Contemporary Craft, and we were clear across the building. And I turned. I said, "There's fried chicken." And one was like, "What? What? What are you talking about?" I said, "I bet they have fried chicken." and we walked all the way across the building, and then there was fried chicken, and he was like, "What?" And sometimes I got that superhero power, which is not always awesome, and it comes and it goes too, because sometimes I can't smell anything, and then sometimes my unfortunate gift is that I can smell too much. One time I went to the state fair and was working, and there were 200,000 people all crammed in, and it was a hot summer day. And let me tell you, that superhero power was not good, less than good when it came to smelling people. I smelled all the different kinds of odors that can come off of a person, and I was pretty much not into it. Which, if you're in Minnesota, I think the state fair is still going on. But, anyways, uh, Marianne says it's not, oh, it's from caraway plant. I have a fun fact about caraway seed is that is um, what they would use as a weight measure for carrots, like a carrot of a stone. So if it's a 5 carat stone, then it's supposedly 5 caraway seeds. Fun facts, right? Amanda says, if raw rhubarb is toxic, then what happened to me? I must be an X-Men mutant. I ate that a lot with loads of sugar. I think maybe it's the leaves. I don't know. Maybe some people there that it's not good for their digestion. I just remember some part they said not to eat it raw, but Donna says, Marianne, me too. My mama made me some really good fried chicken. Marianne says most of the toxins is in the leaves, Amanda. Yeah, that's what I remember. So maybe if you just eat the stalks. But I get nervous when there's a bunch of like plant groups on there, and people get they're like, oh, well, this plant's toxic, don't eat it. And yes, some of the plants it's toxic and you shouldn't eat it. But if you prepare it right, you can eat it. But there's a lot of things that if you don't know how to prepare it, don't mess with it. And then also, there are other people who try to convince you that some things are edible that are not edible. And like, there's one person who's talking about pokeberries, and the seeds in those are toxic to humans. They're not toxic to everything. And so if you crunch on them seeds, it releases the toxin. And they were talking about how you can like squeeze the berries and make a juice from the berries, and then you can make the pokeberries into jelly. You know what? They got other fruit, other berries that you can squeeze, and you don't have to worry if you accidentally crush the seed or not. That's my opinion. Um, I I have this thing where if you I don't know, it's kind of like mushrooms. Like I love wild mushrooms, but if it's got a look-alike, I'm not gonna eat it. They have ones that don't have lookalikes and are distinctively edible. I'll eat those and I'll pick those. But the ones that's got the lookalikes, I'm gonna skip it. Just because on the off chance that it is, and then you get diarrhea forever until you die. No thanks. Skip that nonsense. And somebody can tell me that if I do a spore print and there's one that they're like, oh, well, if you do the spore print and you can tell between if it's brown, it's edible, and if it's purple, it's super toxic. Well, I did the spore print, and I looked, and I could not tell the difference between their brown and purple. So let me just tell you, I'm not gonna risk that. You out in the woods, you don't got toilet paper. I'm not gonna go nibble on this thing that I can't tell the difference. I was like, I must be colorblind because I can't tell the difference between this brown and purple, and I'm like, I'm not going to get in trouble times and then be away from the car. So, anyways, Donna says poke salad. The leaves have to be picked young and then cooked and then rinsed several times to cook out the toxins. I ain't fooling with that. Yeah, correct. Um, like how young is young? That's my like. Is it like my grandma? She used to fix poke salad, and it was good, but I don't think it was good enough to risk my life. That's one of those things where, if it was like so good, maybe I would try it. Sometimes we have milkweed, and that if you it's not super duper toxic, but you have to cook it in a certain way. You have to boil it twice, and you can then you fry it up. That actually is pretty good, and it's distinctively good. That I risk it for that, but the one it just tastes like spinach leaves to me. It's not anything that I'm gonna. I mean, if you're starving to death, then maybe, but otherwise, I got a grocery store, so. I don't know. Marianne says I would only eat wild mushrooms that have been vetted by an expert mycologist. I mean, there are certain mushrooms that are like chicken of the woods, um, which is a sulfurous polypore kind of business. Like you know, that's very distinctive. Um, so that one I don't have a problem with. Morel mushrooms. They say there's a false morel, but it doesn't actually look like a morel. Um, and what's the other one that we eat? There's one called Hericium, and it's very distinctive. And then there's puffballs, um, and I'll eat those. You just have to make sure that the centers are white. If they start turning yellow, then they're no good. But if they're white and spongy like a marshmallow, then they're fine. But there's a lot of stuff that you could like those ones you don't have to worry about. But there's ones that's like so similar, and I'm not gonna risk that business. Man, this is my friend from Peru said that those big old aloe plants are toxic unless you do something to it first. And the other day I saw the big old aloe stalks at the grocery store, and my eyes got big and I backed away. I don't know. Um, Also there's ones that there's like a um I want to say it's like a yucca that's um that's related to like an aloe. Now there's it depends on where you're from, but yucca is different. It's not the same. And I think those are the ones that are the poisonous ones that you have to prepare in a certain way. And they look just like a giant aloe. And that could be that's what they're talking about. Trees of the stalks of the rhubarb are safe to eat raw or cook. The leaves are the poisonous part. Cheryl says, "Love your story time." Well, we do in story time. I'm gonna be looking at this rose quartz for all time. Usually, this is good when William's here because he can at least swap out the lots. I get distracted coming up with story time, so. Um, Donna says, Amanda, they sell those at our local Walmart. Amanda says, what do you do with aloe other than use it on your skin or drink the juice? I think you can make that. It's like a mucilage that comes out. Am I making this up? But you can use that for certain things. John says, me too, Andrew. There's no way I would ever try it. All right. So I think what we'll do is because we've just crossed over past the 2 hour mark, and this chair is hard as a rock. I need to get blood flow back to my legs. So I just wanted to say thank you so much to everybody who has purchased something throughout our fundraising efforts for the past couple of weeks. It really does help us, and it allows us to do things that we would not be able to do otherwise. If you are interested in any of the lots, please send us an email at info@allegorygallery.com, and we'll send an invoice to you and get that out. We'll be back tomorrow with some more lots. I have lots and lots and lots of lots that didn't eloquently flow out. That didn't flow out either very eloquently. But I have a lot of things up. And I keep finding all these cool things, and I hope you all like them too. If there's anything that you see, or if there's anything that you don't see that you would like to see, please let us know, and you can send it to us in an email at info@allegorygallery.com, or you can leave it in comments, and I can try to look for them. If I post things, you're not obligated to buy them necessarily. If you want me to like find something super obscure and then you're like pressure me and you bother me for all time, then then I would kind of assume that you were serious about buying something. But if you are like, oh, I want some purple stones, and I'm like, okay, and I go and put purple stones in the live event. If you don't like it, or you can't, or if they're out of your price range or whatever, then you don't necessarily have to buy them because somebody else might get them. But if you're like, send me on a mission to go get moldavite in the desert, then you have to get that because I could have done something else. Marion says, I would like a pot of gold at the end of a rainbow. I don't know how to make that happen, but I can look for it. All right. So, anyways, I hope you all had a great evening. I had fun too hanging out with you all. William has missed out on all of our fun stories and our recipes and good times, but we'll be back tomorrow. We'll have some fun things tomorrow. I've got some things that I've been working on for the past couple of weeks, and I hope you all like those things. And I guess I'll see you tomorrow. See ya.